Sweden, and we're happy to have her on for the first time tonight. Eva, thanks so much for coming on. So we
you.
don't often enough get to the result. So we know what Sweden did. What happened next?
Well, what happened next was a skyrocketing crime epidemic, I would almost say. I mean, just a week ago, we had a new report come out about lethal gun violence in Sweden. And it turns out that Sweden has gone from one of the safest countries in Europe to now the second most dangerous country in Europe when it comes to lethal gun violence in just a time period of 10 years. So the effects of mass migration and demographic change haven't been small, to say the least. And still, many people refuse to make this link. But I would have to say that anybody who at this point still refuses to make the link between migration and the rise that we're seeing in crime in Sweden either lives in an ivory tower or has an interest in trying to cover up the truth. Because we're not just talking about lethal gun violence here. I mean, we're talking about gang wars that are being fought out in the streets of Sweden, explosions, knife crime, and not to say the least, soaring numbers of rapes as well. So yeah, like I said, the effects aren't small at all. But there are people who are very much willing to cover this up because obviously the Social Democratic government in Sweden, who is responsible for these detrimental effects, would clearly prefer to have the Swedish people not to know what the exact numbers are about and the link between crime and migration. So what they'll do is they'll say, for example, with this report about lethal gun violence, they won't even mention the word migration. They won't even mention cultural clashes or incompatibilities. They'll just say, oh, you know what, these people, the perpetrators that are committing these crimes, they come from socially disadvantaged areas. So basically, prime example of this neo-Marxist rhetoric that the government is pushing and that the media is pushing in order to cover up the truth.